So let's talk about muscles. Everybody see that okay?
Yes.
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 Okay, good. Some of the questions on here are not relevant to what we talked about, but you'll see, and I'll tell you what's not relevant. But here we go. What is the functional unit of a skeletal muscle called?
C.
C.
No. Functional unit.
The sarcomere.
Yes, sarcomere. All right? Okay. I'm probably going to ask you that question. A sheet-like extension of the epimysium is called. Now we didn't talk about this, but what is the epimysium? Tell me what the epimysium is. Where is that in related to the muscle? Is it on the inside of the muscle or the outside of the muscle?
Outside.
Okay. Is it muscle tissue or is it connective tissue?
I think connective tissue.
It is connective tissue. The answer is aponeurosis. We didn't talk about it. I'm not going to ask you that question. But I would know the epimysium, the myomysium, and the perimysium, okay? Not myo, it's, yeah, it is that, okay? Those are the three connective tissue coverings of a muscle, and know where they cover the muscle itself. Thick filaments are found in the blank of the sarcomere.
A.
No.
That is protein.
Let's go with A band. They're in the A band. So the thick filaments are in the A band. All right. In a resting muscle cell, the myosin binding sites are blocked by, the answer here is one of the regulating proteins. Okay? Tell me the two regulating proteins that are on this list.
Troponin and tripamoid.
And tropomyosin, and correct. That is correct. Okay? So that's one, those are the two choices and the only two choices. And the choice is tropomyosin. Okay? I'm going to ask you the regulating proteins. I'm not going to ask you which one does what. That's not important. All right? T tubules are an extension of the
C.
Yes. And what is the sarcolemma? What is it?
Oh.
It is the plasma membrane of a muscle cell. Okay?
And sarcoplasm.
So,
cytoplasm.
and sarcoplasm is the cytoplasm. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. All right. Got it? Okay. Next one. When a muscle cell is at rest, most of the intracellular calcium is stored in the
C.
Where is calcium stored in the muscle? That's the question. Yes, you are correct. All right. Calcium ions will bind to blank when present in the sarcoplasm.
Myosin binding sites.
You think that's the answer?
That or A. I think.
If they bind with the regulating proteins, with the because that's how they regulate the sliding filament. Okay. What substance must bind to the myosin heads in order for the heads to detach from the thin filaments?
C.
It's not troponin. What if I told you it needed energy? What would be the answer?
ATP.
All right. Calcium is released from the terminal cisterns in response to what makes calcium come out of the sarcoplasmic reticulum?
ATP or action potential? One of the two.
Well, one of those two answers is correct. What if I told you you need electricity?
Action potential.
Thank you. Action potential. You remember, it's the neuromuscular junction that stimulates calcium release. The nerve impulse creates an action potential. All right. How does calcium re-enter the terminal cisterns after a muscle contraction is finished? Does it need energy to get back in or not? That's the question.
No.
Oh, it does.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Active. That's why it's active transport. Okay. It does need ATP. It needs ATP. All right. A single contraction in response to a single threshold stimulus is defined as, the answer is a twitch. We didn't talk about it. It's a twitch. I would never ask you that question, so don't worry about it. The force exerted by a contracting muscle is. Remember, we talked about the lever system,
The
force, load. Say it.
Load?
Tension.
Well, you got tension and load. Let's see who's right.
Um,
Tension. All right? Okay. We didn't talk about this, but the time that elapses between the stimulation of a muscle and the contraction of that muscle is called the latent period. Don't worry about that. We didn't talk about it. It's not important. Which is not a factor that affects the force of a muscle contraction?
C.
D.
Someone said C, someone said D, correct? One of those two answers is correct.
D.
D.
D. The method of stimulation has nothing to do with the force of contraction. Skeletal muscle contractions increase in strength because of
B.
Say it again, I didn't hear you.
B.
B, recruitment. Okay? Recruitment. The energy source that is used directly for muscle contraction is, ooh, this is dangerous.
B.
Someone said B.
C.
Let's see. This is a dangerous question. I don't think I'd ask a question like this. But the answer is ATP. Remember, it's the energy source. Don't look at the substrate. Look at the energy source. It's a weird question. Muscle soreness may be due in part to which pathway of ATP production? Wow. I would not ask this question either, and the answer is anaerobic glycolysis. Making lactic acid is what they're talking about. After about 30 minutes of exercise, which substance becomes the major source of fuel? I would not ask that. The answer is fatty acid. And I would not ask this. The answer is diving. I would never ask this question. This is a bizarre question. Which term refers to the length of a muscle, of the time of a muscle that can continue to contract using aerobic pathways?
C.
C.
C is aerobic endurance. That's the answer, okay? Contraction of which sheet of smooth muscle results in shortening of the organ? We didn't talk about it. Don't worry about it. It's longitudinal. Smooth muscle cells can contract as a unit because of the presence of only in smooth muscle.
B. B.
The answer is gap junctions. Gap junctions. All right. Calcium binds to this substance in smooth muscle contractions.
B.
You are correct. Smooth muscle contains blank that corresponds to the Z discs in skeletal muscles. Hard question. I would not ask it. It is dense bodies. What unique characteristics of smooth muscle also allows your stomach to stretch as you eat and not contract immediately to expel food? No way in the world would I ask this question. Which of the following is characteristic of slow oxidative muscle fibers? And I hear crickets, so I'll tell you the answer. The answer is high myoglobin content. Let me ask guys this question. What does myoglobin do in the muscle cell? Why is myoglobin important? No one knows the answer?
O2 storage.
Oxygen storage, is that what you said?
Yes.
Correct. You are correct. It is the protein in muscle that stores oxygen. Okay? So it's important. It's an important protein. All right. That is muscle tissue. Let's go to the muscles themselves. Now, remember, in the muscles themselves, I want you to know the lever systems. I want you to know all about the structure of the muscles. You don't have to know origins. You don't have to know insertions, but you have to know actions. And you have to know those 60 plus muscles that we went over in the muscle chart. Okay? Know their actions. Know their actions. I'm going to ask you questions on individual muscles or groups of muscles. Okay. When the name of a muscle is based on the location of the attachment, what does the first part of the name refer to? Crickets. I hear crickets. The answer is
B.
origin.
C.
Origin. All right. The typical example is sternocleidomastoid. The first part is sterno. Where is the attachment of the sternocleidomastoid?
And the sternum.
Yes, the sternum. Okay. And the last part is the insertion. So sternocleidomastoid, mastoid is the insertion. Where is the mastoid? What bone is the mastoid on?
The
Does
mastoid
anybody?
scapula.
No, it's not on the scapula. No, there's no mastoid on. Where are the mastoid air cells? What bone is it on? Where are the mastoid air cells? What happens when you have mastoiditis, inflammation of the mastoid air cells? You get pain in your ear. What bone is over the ear?
Your
So,
is it the temporal bone or the
Yeah, the temporal bone. Yes. Yeah. So the sternocleidomastoid, its origin is in the sternum. It is also attached to the clavicle, sternocleido, and it is inserted in the temporal bone of the mastoid, sternocleidomastoid. What is the function of the sternocleidomastoid muscle?
Doesn't it rotate your head?
It does. It rotates your head. Okay, so that's how it is. All right. Which of the following is not a functional classification of muscle?
C.
C. No such thing as a protagonist muscle. Okay. Synergistic muscles that immobilize a joint are classified as
Fixators?
fixators. Correct. Sphincter muscles, which have which fascicular pattern? Anyone ever hear of the lower esophageal sphincter, the ileocecal sphincter, the anal sphincter? What fascicular pattern would the anal sphincter have?
Circular.
Yes, circular. That's it. Which fascicular arrangement tends to be the most powerful muscle? What if I told you the most powerful muscles look like big flags?
Pennate.
What would be the answer? Say it
Pennate?
again. Pennate. Pennate. Yeah, like a pennant. Yes. Okay. All right. What provides the effort in the lever system in a human body? It's a great question.
B.
B is in joint.
Yeah.
It's not providing the effort. What's the effort? What's the effort? What lifts the load? That's what they're asking you.
The muscles.
Yes, the muscle that lifts the load. Okay, that's the effort. That's the effort. Blank serves as a fulcrum on your body. Now, whoever answered that before, tell me the answer now.
It's B.
Yeah, it's joints. It's joints. Okay. So joints are the fulcrum. The effort is the muscle. All right. Levers that operate at a mechanical advantage are called blank levers.
Power levers?
Very good. Levers that operate with great speed are always at a mechanical disadvantage are they're picky. They're picky. You probably don't know this answer. The answer is third class levers. Okay? But let me show you the one you should know. Here's the next one. Most of the skeletal muscles in our bodies are classified as,
Third class.
oh yeah, third class, no doubt, no doubt. The origin of the deltoid, you don't have to know origin. I remember you don't have to know it, but it is the clavicle and scapula. All right? Don't worry, I'm not going to worry you about origins. That's not important. These are not important. Let's just bypass them. Oh, look, we talked about insertions, okay? We talked about insertions. So if the first word, the first part is the origin, the last part is the insertion. I told you this answer. What's the answer to this question?
Temporal bone.
Yes, temporal bone. All right? Okay. Now, you don't have to know insertions or origins, but I want you to look at this question. And where is the electron process? Where is it?
That's in the scapula.
Your
right?
elbow.
No.
Say it again. Say it louder.
Elbow.
It's on your elbow.
Elbow.
It's on your elbow. So it's in the back of your arm, correct? Posteriorly, correct?
Yes.
What is the function of a muscle in the posterior part of your elbow? Is it flexion or extension?
Extension.
Yes, extension. Tell me the muscle out of these four that would extend your forearm.
Triceps.
Bingo. All right? Triceps, correct. Oh, you don't have to know that. That's not important. All right, here's another one. You don't have to know the insertions, but let me ask you this. Where's the calcaneus?
Your foot.
What part of your foot?
Your
Ankle.
heel.
Your
Yeah.
heel. Your heel. Is your heel anterior or posterior?
Posterior.
Posterior. Give me the answer.
Biceps.
C. Or D.
I led you down a path, okay? The answer is gastrocnemius. I led you down the path. I knew you picked posterior, tibialis posterior. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to ask you insertions anyway. Don't worry about that. But I'm going to ask you this, because here's the actions. The biceps brachii is a prime mover for which action?
B. Or
B, elbow flexion. Elbow flexion, okay? The prime mover in abduction of the arm. Abduction means to take the arm away from the body. I would ask something like this. Prime mover in abduction of the arm is the blank.
Is it deltoid?
Yes, as you meekly answer the question. Yes, you are correct. Deltoid. The deltoid. This muscle allows you to shrug our shoulders. I may not have had you memorize this muscle. The answer, the answer is trapezius. Yeah. Is that one of the muscles I made you? I don't think it is, but
I don't think so.
yeah, I'm not sure. Okay. A muscle that is the antagonist of the pectoralis major is pectoralis major is right here. What would be an antagonist that would be in the posterior part of your body?
Is it C?
Yeah,
See,
it's C, latissimus dorsi, the lats. Yep. Which muscle is the prime mover of flexion of the arm? Now, let me tell you right now, there are two choices here, and both choices are correct. I would not ask this question, but both choices are correct.
Brachialis?
That's my choice, is the brachialis, but I think their choice is different. Their choice is the pectoralis major. Okay, I don't disagree with it, but you're talking more about the arm, so the answer is really brachialis. I would accept either one, but I'm not going to give you a question where there's two answers anyway. So, okay, you have discovered a new muscle named the tibialis deltoideus. This muscle would most likely be
A shoulder muscle.
shoulder muscle is not correct.
Is it B?
Yeah, a triangular deltoideus muscle of the leg, tibialis. Tibialis deltoideus, a triangle muscle of the leg. All right, there it is. Okay. Any questions at all about what we're talking about here? Let me stop recording here for a second.
so all we have